The morning sky over Earth changed forever. People looked up and froze. 50 alien ships hung in orbit, black as night, silent as death. They were enormous, each one bigger than a city. The sun reflected off their dark metal, and strange glowing symbols ran along their hulls. The world did not know whether to scream, pray, or simply stare. Within minutes, every news channel was showing the same terrifying sight: alien ships surrounding the planet. Inside the largest ship, Admiral Creasel sat on his command throne. He was tall, his skin a cold blue-gray, and 4 strong arms rested on the armrests. His species, the Valorans, had conquered thousands of worlds. He had done this hundreds of times before. Fear was a tool. Panic was a weapon. "Open a channel to their leaders," Creasel said, his voice deep and commanding. "Yes, Admiral." "Channel is ready," replied his communications officer. Creasel smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Every word of his message had been perfected over centuries to create terror. His hologram flickered and appeared in the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York. Hundreds of diplomats and leaders gasped. Some stood, some froze, and some dropped to the floor in disbelief. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Creasel began. His voice carried weight and authority. "I am Admiral Creasel of the Valoran hierarchy. We rule over 3,000 star systems across this galaxy. We have conquered 473 worlds." He paused. The numbers sank in. Humans looked terrified. Some cried. Some trembled. Some stared in anger, but it was mixed with fear. Creasel waited. "Your planet is now within our territory. You have 2 choices. First, you may surrender peacefully. Join our empire, pay tribute, and serve us. You will live. Your world will be spared. Or," he let the pause stretch long enough to crush hearts, "you may resist. If you fight, we will destroy your cities one by one. We will burn your fields. We will turn your oceans to steam. Nothing will remain. Your species will end." Silence filled the UN. Some leaders whispered to each other. Some shook with fear. Then Dr. Sarah Chin, the Secretary General, stood. Her hands shook, but her voice was strong. "How long do we have to decide?" she asked. 48 hours, Creasel said coldly. "After that, we assume war." And just like that, the hologram vanished. Chaos erupted. People shouted in dozens of languages. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others called for resistance. Security tried to control the crowd, but it was impossible. Fear filled every heart, but anger and pride also flared. Dr. Chin quickly called an emergency meeting with world leaders. Presidents, prime ministers, and kings appeared on screens from across the globe. The debate was fierce. "They have technology beyond our understanding," said the President of France. "We cannot fight them. Surrender is our only chance." "Humanity has fought for freedom for thousands of years," argued the Prime Minister of India. "Fighting them means extinction," another voice said. "Surrender may allow survival." Hours passed. Arguments collided. Leaders could not agree. Meanwhile, strange events unfolded across the world. In secret military bases, something unusual happened. The best soldiers were not being called. Instead, programmers, hackers, computer scientists, and intelligence analysts were summoned. At DARPA headquarters in Virginia, hidden basement levels filled with activity. At NSA offices, entire divisions abandoned their normal work. Across China, Russia, Israel, and many other nations, cyber teams went into overdrive. Universities called in top computer experts. Tech companies sent their best programmers. Even independent hackers were invited to join mysterious projects. All of them had the same instructions: study the Valoran technology. Find weaknesses. Look for access points. Prepare to do what humans did best: adapt and innovate. On the Valoran flagship, officers monitored Earth's communications. They expected panic. They expected fear. Instead, they saw humans working together like never before. Messages flowed between countries that were usually rivals. Data was encrypted, but the volume was staggering. "Admiral," one officer said, "the humans are behaving strangely. They are not panicking as expected." Creasel looked up. "Explain." "They are mobilizing, but not their armies. They are gathering technology experts, programmers, and scientists by the thousands. They appear to be coordinating." Creasel laughed. "Let them try. They are primitive. They cannot match our technology in 2 days. This will only make their defeat more complete." But as the hours passed, Creasel began to notice a problem. The humans were faster than expected. Their communication networks were growing exponentially. Their coordination was precise. Each nation, each expert, each hacker was connected to the same goal: Somewhere, hidden from the Valorant's sight, the world was preparing. A plan formed that no alien had ever seen. Not armies. Not weapons. Not bombs. Something far more dangerous: human ingenuity, human will, human determination. Across thousands of rooms on Earth, lights flickered in labs, servers roared to life, and fingers flew across keyboards. The countdown continued. 48 hours remained. The first step of humanity's unexpected war had begun. A war not of armies but of minds. And when the Valorans realized the truth, it might already be too late. Project Firewall, activate, a voice echoed in secure channels around the world. The sky over Earth was still black with alien ships. But beneath that darkness, a new force stirred. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would fight. And the galaxy would soon learn a truth the Valorans had never imagined. The morning terror had passed, but fear still gripped every heart on Earth. 50 alien ships hung in orbit, enormous and menacing. The sun barely touched the planet beneath their shadow. Civilians whispered in homes and offices. Children clung to parents. Soldiers marched in confusion. But somewhere beneath the chaos, humanity was moving in a way the Valorans had not expected. While the world argued, thousands of humans were quietly leaving their homes, not to hide but to work. Secret facilities, government buildings, universities, and tech companies all lit up with activity. In places that most people did not even know existed, the real war began. And it was not fought with guns or tanks. It was fought with minds. In Virginia, the basement levels of DARPA filled with people. Rows of programmers hunched over glowing screens. Hackers from around the world sat at computers, their fingers flying across keyboards. Intelligence officers monitored alien transmissions, translating strange signals into human-readable code. Across the world, the NSA did the same, joined by experts from China, Russia, Israel, and Europe. Even universities sent their top computer scientists and engineers to join the effort. Everywhere, the message was clear: study the Valoran technology. Find weaknesses. Find access points. Learn their systems. And above all, prepare to strike in a way no alien had ever imagined. At the center of this quiet storm was a young genius named Liam Torres. He was only 28, but his mind moved faster than most generals could command armies. Liam studied the intercepted Valoran signals, searching for patterns. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His team worked in shifts, screens filled with strange symbols, alien codes, and glowing holograms of the Valorans' massive ships. "They're not just watching us," Liam said. "They're expecting panic. They expect fear. They don't expect this." "What do you mean?" one of his teammates asked. "We're not running," Liam replied. "We're not hiding. We're learning. We're adapting. And they cannot prepare for it in just 48 hours. Meanwhile, on the Valoran flagship, Admiral Creasel was growing impatient. From his throne, he watched humans on their planet below. He expected chaos, surrender, and cries for mercy. What he saw confused him. Orders were being sent. Groups of humans were coordinating. Data was being transmitted at a rate he had never encountered. "Admiral," one officer said nervously, "the humans are not panicking. Their governments, their people, they are organizing." Creasel's forearms tightened on his chair. "Explain." "They are mobilizing technology experts. They are gathering programmers, scientists, analysts, even independent hackers from across the globe. Entire networks are being used to study our ships and systems." Creasel leaned back. A slow, dangerous smile spread across his face. "Primitive humans think they can match Valoran technology in 2 days? Let them try. Their failure will only make their defeat more complete." Back on Earth, Liam and his team discovered something remarkable. In the signals they had intercepted, there were tiny flaws. Errors in Valoran coding. Patterns repeated too perfectly. A connection between ship control systems that should not have existed. It was a weak point, an opening no one else would notice. "Show me everything," Dr. Sarah Chin ordered as she visited the Secret Operations Center. The Secretary General of the United Nations had been briefed on Project Firewall, the secret global plan. She watched as hundreds of humans worked together in perfect coordination. Every nation, every agency, every hacker was contributing. Even civilian programmers joined remotely, following secure protocols. "This is humanity at its best," Dr. Chin said quietly. "They expect chaos. They expect fear. But this is intelligence, innovation, and unity." The hours ticked by. 48 became 40, then 36. Liam's team finally confirmed what they had hoped. The Valoran ships were connected through a network system that, if breached, could give humans control, or at least disrupt their weapons. Do you understand what this means? Liam whispered. We could stop their attack before it starts. Stop it, another programmer said. We could destroy them. Yes, Liam said. But carefully. We don't want total destruction yet. We want them to learn one thing: humans do not surrender. As Earth's networks grew, messages and data flows accelerated. Humans who were usually rivals were now sharing information freely. Russian hackers coordinated with Americans. Chinese engineers collaborated with Europeans. Universities from India to Brazil sent their brightest students into secure digital operations. They learned from each other, adapting rapidly. On the Valoran flagship, Creasel's officers grew confused. They are communicating too efficiently, one officer said. It is almost unnatural. Every nation is in sync. Every system is connected. Creasel slammed his clawed hand on the armrest. Impossible. Humans are supposed to panic. They are supposed to beg. What are they doing? They are preparing, the officer admitted. Preparing? Creasel roared. For what? But even he did not yet know. On Earth, thousands of teams worked tirelessly, mapping alien systems, predicting energy flows, and analyzing ship movements. The Valorans had expected fear and chaos. Instead, they faced coordination, intelligence, and speed. Every second brought humanity closer to understanding the Valoran ships. Every hour shortened the time before humans could strike. Yet the alien fleet remained oblivious, believing their centuries of experience guaranteed victory. They had never faced a species that could adapt so quickly, a species that refused to bow. In secret rooms worldwide, Dr. Chin sent final instructions. Project Firewall is our last line, she said. Every hacker, every scientist, every programmer, stay focused. Learn everything. Watch everything. Adapt everything. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity never surrenders. The countdown continued. Only 24 hours remained. The sky above was still dark with alien ships. But beneath that darkness, the quiet pulse of preparation grew stronger and stronger. Humans had chosen their path. They would not bow. They would not surrender. And they would fight in a way the Valorans could not yet imagine. Somewhere on the Valoran flagship, Creasel rested, confident in his inevitable victory. But across Earth, minds were working faster than he could possibly imagine. The real war had already begun. And it was not a war of armies. It was a war of human ingenuity. 24 hours remained. The world was tense, but the panic many had expected never came. The Valorans watched Earth from orbit, waiting for fear. Waiting for chaos. Waiting for surrender. Instead they saw preparation. Calm, focused, relentless preparation. In secret facilities around the world, humans were working like never before. Servers hummed. Keyboards clacked. Monitors glowed with alien codes and starship schematics. Intelligence analysts and hackers from every nation coordinated, sharing information instantly. Even rival countries that had argued for decades were now united under a single goal: understand the Valoran ships and find a way to fight back. At the center of it all, Liam Torres studied the Valoran transmissions. He had already discovered small weaknesses, patterns repeated too perfectly, redundancies in alien network signals, and a few oversights in the ship's command systems. His team worked tirelessly to find a way in. We can do this, Liam said to his small group. If we can break into their system, we can control at least one ship. If we control one, we can control the rest. One of his teammates frowned. But the Valorant's technology, it's centuries ahead of ours. Even their weakest ship is stronger than any human craft we have. Liam nodded. I know. That's why we're not attacking them with weapons. We're attacking their network. That's where they're vulnerable. That's where humans can win. Meanwhile, on the Valoran flagship, Admiral Creasel sat on his throne, reviewing progress reports. His officers were monitoring Earth closely, expecting panic. They were wrong. Sir, said one officer nervously, human communications are increasing exponentially. Entire nations are sharing encrypted data. It's unusual. Creasel's forearms tightened on his throne. Explain. They are not preparing armies. They are mobilizing minds. Scientists, programmers, hackers, thousands of them are connected in ways we cannot decode. They are analyzing our technology. Creasel laughed, a low, dangerous sound. Primitive humans think they can challenge us with their little brains? Let them try. It will only make their defeat more glorious. But even as he laughed, some unease began to creep into his thoughts. He had fought thousands of worlds. He had crushed civilizations in days. Humans were supposed to be easy, primitive, slow, weak. Yet here they were, moving faster than he expected. Back on Earth, Liam's team finally found the opening. One of the smaller Valoran ships had a tiny flaw in its communication relay. A weakness that, if exploited, could allow humans to send commands directly into the ship's systems. It was almost imperceptible, buried deep within complex codes. "This is it," Liam said. "This is how we start." Dr. Sarah Chin, observing the operation from the UN's secure command room, nodded. "Do it. Carefully. Strike once, precisely. We don't want unnecessary destruction yet. We want them to realize, humans do not surrender." At that moment, across thousands of rooms worldwide, the countdown clock continued. 48 hours had begun. Humans had less than 24 to act. Every keystroke, every line of code mattered. The Valoran ships remained unaware. Officers monitored the planet, expecting chaos. Instead, they saw calm and precision. Humans were not panicking. Humans were learning. In Virginia, Liam's fingers flew over the keyboard. Lines of code scrolled like rivers of light. Algorithms designed to mimic Valoran encryption systems allowed them to slowly integrate into the alien network. Each command had to be perfect. Each move had to avoid detection. One mistake and the Valorans would trace the intrusion. One mistake and the plan would fail. "Almost there," Liam whispered. "Just a few more adjustments." Then a warning flashed across the screen. "Intrusion detected." Alarms sounded. Heartbeats raced. "They know," one hacker said. "Not yet," Liam replied. "They have noticed activity, but they don't know where it's coming from. Keep going." On the Valoran flagship, alarms sounded. Officers panicked. "Admiral," one shouted. "There is an intrusion in the ship's control system." Creasel rose slowly. His 4 arms lifted from the throne. "Explain." "It appears humans are attacking us," said the officer. "They are inside one of our ships. Command system is being compromised." Creasel's face twisted into a mask of disbelief and rage. "Impossible. Humans cannot understand our technology. They cannot do this." But it was true. Humans had found a way in. And the implications were far greater than the Valorans realized. One ship compromised meant one chain reaction. One weakness exploited could cascade through the entire fleet. Back on Earth, Liam smiled grimly. "We're in. Now carefully, observe. Learn everything. Adapt every system. We only have one chance to test this before they retaliate." Across the globe, similar teams were doing the same. Coordination had reached an almost impossible level. Every team had the same mission: infiltrate Valoran networks, find weaknesses, and prepare the first strike. As hours passed, patterns emerged. Human experts began predicting the Valorans' moves before they even happened. Energy flows, communication signals, weapon targeting, all of it could be read, predicted, and disrupted. Creasel, growing frustrated, paced the bridge. How is this possible? They are primitive. They should have no understanding of our ships. No knowledge of our systems. And yet, his voice faltered. They adapt too quickly. Too efficiently. How can this be? He had no answer. Humans were doing something the Valorans had never seen. Not armies. Not weapons. Not tactics. Something far more dangerous. Intelligence and innovation. On Earth, the final moments of preparation began. Dr. Chin gave the command. "Prepare for the first strike. We are not attacking with bombs. We are striking with minds. Project Firewall begins now." Across the world, humans held their breath. Fingers hovered over keyboards. Eyes scanned lines of code. The Valorans in orbit remained oblivious, confident in their inevitable victory. Then Liam spoke quietly. "Remember this moment. This is what humans do best. They adapt. They innovate. They refuse to accept limits. The Valorans have never faced anything like us. And they are about to find out. We do not surrender." The countdown continued. Less than 12 hours remained. One ship had been infiltrated. The rest waited unknowingly. Every moment increased the tension. Every keystroke tightened the invisible noose around the alien fleet. And for the first time in his long, victorious life, Admiral Creasel felt uncertainty. A strange, chilling feeling he had never known before. Fear. Across Earth, the teams worked silently, steadily, united by one goal: humanity would fight back. Humanity would prove that intelligence, unity, and courage could defeat even the most powerful invaders. The Code War had begun. The countdown had reached its final hours. 50 alien ships still hung in orbit, black and massive, their glowing symbols blinking with strange energy. The Valorans expected panic. They expected chaos. They expected Earth to crumble before them. But humans were ready. They had no armies massed for battle. No tanks, no fighter jets. What they had were minds united, brilliant minds that had worked around the clock for 48 hours. Project Firewall was complete. The first strike was ready. Admiral Creasel sat in his command throne, reviewing the planet below. From his perspective, humans were nothing but tiny, fragile creatures. Their cities looked beautiful from orbit but insignificant. His forearms flexed in confidence. "Prepare the weapons," Creasel ordered. "Show them the consequences of resistance." On Earth, Liam Torres and his team watched screens filled with alien schematics. Lines of code moved faster than the eye could see. The small flaw in the Valoran network that they had discovered was about to be exploited. "All systems ready?" Liam asked. "Ready," whispered the team. "Firewalls bypassed. Infiltration complete." "Good. Begin Phase 1. Across the globe, every Project Firewall terminal activated simultaneously. The human cyber attack moved through the Valoran network like a river of fire. The Valorant's targeting systems, engines and energy weapons began to flicker. Signals were scrambled. Communications jammed. The first beam of alien energy fired from a Valoran ship. And then it failed. On monitors in human facilities, the beam's trajectory twisted back toward the ship that had fired it. Alarms blared across the Valoran fleet. Creasel roared in disbelief. "What is happening?" he screamed. One officer stammered, "It appears the humans have hacked our weapon systems. The beam is turning back on us." Creasel's eyes widened. His confidence shattered in an instant. The alien ships were massive, nearly indestructible. And yet, humans were controlling them, using their own technology against them. On Earth, Liam's fingers flew over the keyboard. Commands executed perfectly. The first ship was now compromised, its weapons locked under human control. The virus spread slowly, carefully to other ships. The Valorans were still unaware of the full scope. Then the sky erupted in fire. One Valoran ship exploded in orbit, a massive fireball lighting up the horizon. People across the world stopped and stared. Some cried. Some prayed. Some smiled, unable to believe what they were seeing. "Keep going," Liam whispered. "Do not stop. Learn, adapt, and spread." One by one, alien weapons misfired. Beams meant for Earth ricocheted into neighboring ships. Explosions tore through the Valoran fleet. Massive hulls collapsed, sending fire and debris spinning into space. The sky above Earth became a battlefield of fire and smoke. In orbit, Creasel barked orders that went unheeded. His officers were panicked, their systems failing one by one. "Why aren't they surrendering?" Creasel growled. "This is impossible." On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chin watched the destruction with a steady gaze. "They expected fear," she said quietly. "They expected chaos. But humans are not afraid. Humans adapt. Humans fight with intelligence, not just weapons." The explosions continued. The second Valoran ship collapsed, then a third. Their perfectly organized fleet was descending into chaos. Humans had no bombs, no missiles. Yet, with code and intellect, they had turned the tables. Meanwhile, in New York, civilians who had watched the first explosions screamed in awe. People cheered from rooftops and streets. Children hugged their parents. Soldiers saluted. Humanity had done the impossible. They had taken the most powerful alien fleet in orbit and made it their own battlefield. Creasel's flagship hovered above the planet, but even there, panic had taken hold. Systems flickered. Energy shields dropped. Weapons misfired. The Admiral's usual calm had vanished. The humans had outsmarted him. They had adapted in 2 days what no civilization could in decades. On Earth, Liam's team moved to the final stage. They had control of one ship and the virus had spread to all others. Now they could coordinate the final attack. They could direct the Valoran fleet's destruction without firing a single human-made weapon. Phase 2, Liam said. Redirect energy weapons to collide with each other. Bring down the entire fleet. Carefully. Alarms screamed across the Valoran ships. Officers ran frantically trying to regain control, but it was too late. One by one, energy beams crossed paths, striking enemy ships. Fire and explosions spread like wildfire. The orbital sky glowed red and orange, lighting Earth's surface below. Creasel's voice thundered through the fleet. Stop it. Stop it now. But the humans were too fast, too precise. Every move Creasel made was predicted, countered, and turned back on him. His perfect record of victories spanning centuries had ended in a single day. From Earth, civilians watched the sky fall apart. Cities illuminated by burning fireballs, massive ships tumbling and exploding like fireworks. Humanity had survived. Humanity had fought. Humanity had won, not by guns or armies but by intelligence, unity, and courage. Dr. Chin turned to Liam. This is only the beginning. They underestimated us. They will never make that mistake again. Liam nodded. And now they will know what humans do best. Adapt, innovate, and refuse to surrender. They expected a fight. We gave them fire. The Valorant's fleet was in ruin. Smoke and fire drifted across orbit, and the once perfect circle around Earth was shattered. Wreckage spun silently in space, a monument to the humans' ingenuity. Creasel stared at the chaos from his throne. He had conquered thousands of worlds. He had destroyed civilizations without mercy. And yet here, against a single planet, his entire fleet lay in ruin. His 4 arms trembled in disbelief. On Earth the message was clear. Humanity had not surrendered. Humanity had not feared. Humanity had adapted and fought in a way no enemy had ever expected. And the galaxy would remember this day. The sky over Earth was still streaked with smoke and fire. Pieces of alien ships tumbled silently through the atmosphere, a terrible and beautiful testament to the humans' ingenuity. Across the globe, people watched the once unthinkable, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy reduced to ruins right above their heads. Inside the last intact Valoran ship, Admiral Creasel's 4 arms gripped the edges of his command throne. His face, usually cold and commanding, was pale. Never in his long history had a species resisted so completely, so quickly, and so intelligently. Sir, one officer stammered. Our fleet, it is gone. The humans have destroyed us without weapons. Creasel's eyes widened. Impossible. They are primitive. They are weak. They should not have survived 48 hours. And yet, they did this. They hacked our networks, Admiral, another officer admitted. They turned our ships against us. They outsmarted us. Creasel slammed a fist against the console, sending sparks flying. This cannot be. They cannot. Humans cannot do this. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the balcony of the UN headquarters, looking up at the sky. The glow from the burning fleet reflected in her eyes. Around her, the emergency command center buzzed with activity. But there was no panic, only triumph. They thought fear would work, Dr. Chen said softly to Liam Torres, who was watching monitors in the secure room below. They thought chaos would make us surrender. They thought humans were weak. Liam shook his head. They didn't know what humans really are. They didn't know we adapt. We innovate. We refuse to accept limits. And indeed humanity had proven it. Not with armies. Not with bombs. Not with fighter jets. But with minds, ingenuity, and unity. The entire Valoran fleet had been outmaneuvered using Project Firewall, a global coordination of programmers, scientists, and hackers, all working together to turn the enemy's power against them. Across the world, civilians cheered. Soldiers saluted. Children ran in the streets. For the first time in history, humanity had defended itself from a galactic threat without a single conventional battle. In orbit, Admiral Creasel finally realized the full extent of the disaster. His fleet, which had taken centuries to build, was now little more than debris. Thousands of ships lost. Thousands of lives lost. And all because humans had refused to bow. He could not understand it. In his history, every civilization had crumbled in fear, every species had surrendered in days, and yet Earth's humans had not only survived, they had outsmarted him. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen activated a global broadcast. The screens in homes, offices, and cities flickered. For the first time in history, humanity spoke as one, sending a clear message to the galaxy. People of Earth, Dr. Chen began. Today we were faced with a choice. Surrender or resist. We chose to resist. Not with fear, not with chaos, but with intelligence, unity, and courage. Let it be known, humans do not surrender. Across space, any remaining Valoran scouts or observers watched in disbelief. They had underestimated a species they considered weak, primitive, and insignificant. And that mistake had cost them the fleet. In the secure command center below, Liam Torres smiled at the monitors. They'll never forget this, he said. Not in 1,000 years. Humans are not to be underestimated. Dr. Chin nodded. And we have just begun. Today we fought not just to survive but to send a message. Any species that believes humans are weak will learn the same lesson. Adapt, innovate, refuse to surrender. That is who we are. Meanwhile, across the Valoran remnants, crews were attempting to regroup. Creasel's pride was shattered. His authority broken. His reputation, built over centuries of conquests, was now in ruins. He could no longer command with fear. He could no longer rely on the assumption that other species would bow. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement in the galaxy. On Earth, the celebrations were muted among the leadership but deafening in the streets. Not because humans were cruel but because they had survived the impossible. They had faced an alien empire, vastly superior in technology, and they had won with nothing but brains and unity. Liam turned to his team. The Valorans will think twice before returning. But we cannot stop here. They will come again. And when they do, we need to be ready, not with weapons alone, but with the same strength we use today: knowledge, preparation, and unity. Dr. Chin placed a hand on his shoulder. This is a new era for humanity. The galaxy has learned that Earth is not a weak world. We are not primitive. We are not to be ignored. And most importantly, we never surrender. In orbit, the surviving Valoran ships were fleeing, their fleet shattered and demoralized. Creasel remained on his flagship, staring at Earth below. The humans had done the impossible. He had expected surrender, obedience, and chaos. Instead, he had found adaptation, intelligence, and fire. The message was clear: Earth would never bow. Humanity would never surrender. And the galaxy would remember. On the streets of New York, London, Beijing, and every major city, civilians cheered and embraced. Humanity had faced extinction and turned it into victory. They had proven that unity and intelligence could defeat even the strongest force in the galaxy. And somewhere in the debris of orbiting ships, a small flicker of blue-gray light glowed on Creasel's bridge. He stared at it, realizing that this was not the end. Humans had fought, yes, but they had also awakened something the galaxy had never truly seen before. A species that refused to surrender, a species that could innovate faster than any alien fleet, a species that would define its own destiny. Across the globe, Dr. Chin addressed the people one final time. Remember this day. Remember what we have done. And never forget that humans do not surrender. We will defend our planet. We will defend each other. And we will continue to rise, no matter the enemy. This is the dawn of a new era. And with that, humanity stood united, stronger than ever. The Valorans had come to conquer. They had left broken. And Earth had answered with fire. The smoke had cleared. The orbit above Earth was empty of Valoran ships, except for scattered debris that slowly burned in the cold vacuum of space. Earth had survived. Humanity had won. But the victory was not without cost. Across the globe, leaders gathered for an emergency UN session. Dr. Sarah Chin stood at the podium, her voice calm and commanding. Today, humanity faced a test unlike any in our history. The most powerful fleet in the galaxy surrounded our planet, demanding surrender. They expected fear. They expected chaos. And yet, we chose to rise. Every screen on Earth showed the destruction of the Valoran ships and the bravery of those who had orchestrated the victory. Civilians cheered not just for survival but for the proof of what humans could do when united. In Virginia, Liam Torres and his team packed up their equipment. The world had seen only the result of their efforts: fire in orbit and a fleet destroyed. What no one outside the secure rooms knew was the battle fought by minds. Lines of code, encrypted signals, and complex algorithms had toppled the greatest alien fleet in history. Dr. Chin approached Liam. You and your team have done the impossible. The Valorans will think twice before returning to Earth, or challenging humanity again. Liam shook his head. This was only the beginning. The galaxy is vast. There are others out there who will see this victory and test us. We have shown them what humans are capable. But we must prepare for the next time. The lesson was clear. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not fear. Humans adapted, innovated, and overcame. And now the galaxy knew it. Far above Earth, the remnants of the Valoran fleet limped away. Admiral Creasel, aboard the last surviving flagship, stared at the blue planet below. His pride was shattered. Every calculation, every expectation had failed. He had faced many worlds before but none like this. Humanity had rewritten the rules. The Valoran hierarchy had underestimated a species that refused to be conquered. Creasel clenched his fists. His defeat was complete, but he had learned a lesson he would not forget. Earth would not bow. Humans had won without armies, without weapons, without warships. They had used their minds. And minds, he realized, could be more dangerous than any fleet. On Earth, celebrations continued, but leaders were cautious. They knew this victory did not mean the end of threats. Across the galaxy, Other species had watched the events unfold. Some were fearful. Some were curious. And some, those who believed humans were weak, began to plan. Dr. Chen called a meeting with representatives from every nation. Humanity has sent a message to the stars. But we must continue to innovate, to prepare. Project Firewall was a success, but it cannot be the only plan. We must learn from what we have done and strengthen ourselves for the future. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders nodded. The world had changed forever. Not just because of fire in orbit, but because humans had proven what it meant to never surrender. In New York, Liam stood with his team on a rooftop, watching the burning debris of the Valoran ships slowly fall into the ocean. "They came to destroy us," he said. "They expected surrender. But we gave them fire. And they will remember it." One of his teammates smiled. "Do you think they'll come back?" Liam's eyes hardened. "If they do, we will be ready. And next time they will not only see fire, they will see humanity's full strength." Meanwhile, across the globe, ordinary civilians returned to their lives, but none could forget the sky on that day. Children would grow up hearing stories of fire in orbit, of human minds defeating impossible odds. This was the beginning of a new era. Even as the world rebuilt, Project Firewall remained active. Humans had learned that unity, intelligence, and courage were their greatest weapons. Governments shared knowledge freely. Scientists collaborated openly. Hackers continued to work, refining defenses and studying alien technology. The message was simple: humanity would never bow, never surrender, and never be underestimated. In orbit, scattered debris floated silently. Creasel's remaining ships limped away, but he would never forget Earth's response. The galaxy, once confident in the weakness of humans, now faced a species that could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast even the most advanced empire. On Earth, Dr. Chin addressed the people one final time. "We have survived the impossible. We have shown the galaxy that humans do not surrender. Let this day be remembered not for the fire that fell from the sky, but for the courage, unity, and intelligence that rose to meet it." The Valorans came expecting obedience. They left knowing they had underestimated us. And humanity will never be underestimated again. As night fell, Liam looked up at the stars, thinking of the countless civilizations beyond. Some would remember today as a warning. Some would remember it as hope. And some, those who dared to threaten Earth, would learn that humans were a force unlike any other. And in the quiet, far-reaching corridors of power, Dr. Chen and her team knew one truth above all: this was not the end. It was the beginning of humanity's era in the galaxy. Humans had faced the impossible, turned the tide, and set a legacy that would echo across the stars. They had been tested. They had been challenged. And they had answered with fire.